Good morning, everyone. So today's topic is trusting your inner knowing. Now, in this theme of moving from uncertainty to insight, this shade, this nuance is indispensable. And it's interesting because if you were to look at all these themes, you'd say, well, they're all pretty much the same. And in some ways, we are speaking about the same thing in different ways. However, the the healing of moving from the external to the internal, the transformation process is a lifelong learning. And therefore, it's like devoting yourself to a specific goal, a specific, you could say, calling, and then enhancing that path for all your days. It's like when people look at physical health and they learn new things and they learn what to eat and what not to eat. And then they learn more about themselves and they change what they're doing. So, in a way, we're talking about something completely different than yesterday and the day before and the day before. And in another way, we are talking about the same thing in a different way. We're coming in a different door. What does this do? This helps your mind relax a bit into the process. It can help to support you with courage in the face of fear. Trusting our inner knowing is a massive liberation. Massive. Think of think back in your life if you trusted your inner knowing, if you were taught to do so as a child and you trusted it your entire life. I bet you can think of ways that your life would probably have gone in different directions, right? And I really liked this idea of the word inner because it's like when you trust external, which shows up in our being because our minds get conditioned by the external, our feeling, emotional regulation gets conditioned by the external, that the external is even part of our very being because of what we've accepted. So we're not doing just as within, so without. We're doing as within, deeper, deeper, with a non local point, so without, so without. That's how we're positioning things here. Now, this knowing, it does not argue with us. We don't wrestle with our inner knowing. We wrestle with our resistance or our learned confusion. But we never wrestle with the inner knowing because the inner knowing is not going to wrestle with us. We may try to pick a fight with it, but it knows what it knows. And the inner knowing, it doesn't shout. It's not going to override other voices if those other voices are louder. It waits. It nudges. It inspires. And any breath of attention that we give to it leads to direct consolation. Even if we don't act on the inner knowing, when we are urged by it and we turn and we rest in it, even just to give ourselves a moment of reprieve from the war that we can let rage in our hearts and minds, there's instant consolation. Now, if our inner knowing with that knows that we need to act in some way, it requires an action, we'll not rest entirely until we act on it. We may have the internal rest of the knowing, but we won't rest until we act on it. It's a felt sense. Thich Nhat Hanh said so beautifully, my mind can go in 1,000 directions, but on this beautiful path, I walk in peace. Now talk about liberation, right? What he's saying is he lives by his inner knowing. He's established in living by his inner knowing. But if inner knowing is natural to us, which I'm positing it is, why don't we trust it more? And I would say that the largest example, there are many examples that I could point to, or there are many reasons I could point to, has to do with the word belonging. We are wired to belong. We're part of a humanity, we're part of a species. We are wired to belong. And we internalize, most of us, not all, from an early age that belonging is conditional. Be good, be agreeable, be successful. Don't feel too much. Don't express your feelings too much. Don't want too much. And what gets tacked on to these is what? Don't want too much. That's selfish. So not only do we are we encouraged to move away from an inner knowing, but then it's tacked on that it's a morality. Don't feel too much. You're oversensitive. Be agreeable. That's how you move forward. Care about what everyone else thinks, because then you'll know how to keep peace. You see where it's a trick? So you get the first premise that moves you away from trusting yourself, and then the conditioned society, which that's all it is conditioned society. It's not some person, place, or thing that's out to get you. Even if somebody was oppressing you, they were oppressed. Something within them is broken. So you're taught to disconnect from it, and then you're taught reasons for that give you buy-in, and then your experience reinforces it. Oh, that is true. When I express the breadth of my feelings, what happens? People think I'm crazy. People think I'm weird. People think I'm unstable. There's a psychologist, Carl Rogers, who says the organism has one basic tendency and striving. That's, you're the organism here. To actualize, maintain, and enhance the experiencing organism. We are self-focused at all times, whether we admit it or not. The organism itself is working on those three things. So that means there is a built-in natural mechanism that's striving to bring us into wholeness. Now, accurately, there is a trauma psychologist, Bessel van der Kolk. I don't know her, but she says so succinctly and so well, the body keeps score. And it does, doesn't it? Do you feel how your body has kept score from this life that can feel like a battle? But if the body keeps score of trauma, the body also keeps wisdom. And wisdom is greater than trauma. There is a major cost we pay by not trusting our inner knowing. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with over the years that their various maladies have come, not maybe entirely, but largely impacted by not trusting their inner knowing. Some of the simple ways I could name is pure exhaustion through overthinking. When you're looped and obsessed in overthinking, this is not you working it out. This is you not trusting your inner knowing. And it leads to exhaustion. We disconnect and fragment away from ourselves. That's the cost of not trusting our inner knowing. We learn life destroying habits. That's what's happening there. We become dependent on others for our peace, for our direction, for our authority. It can be freeing to recognize that inner knowing is not about certainty, it's about integrity. It's about being whole within yourself. It's about not abandoning yourself, being faithful to yourself. To remember this trust, it's not just a leap. We'd like to think, right? If you get it, if your mind understands it, what happens is you want to leap. You want to get there, be there. It's a practice. It's a one step at a time practice. And one way you can focus on this, I know I've been into Eckhart lately. Eckhart said, God is not found in the soul by adding anything, but by the process of subtraction. When we subtract out the push within ourselves, the urgency that leads us to move rashly, not from the place of inner knowing. When we are caught so deeply in people pleasing, when we justify, we feel like we need to always justify our truth or our actions. These are all ways we abandon ourselves. So, how could you today subtract and not do one of those things? You could have a reframe. So, you're not learning to create, you're just learning to not abandon yourself anymore. Are you willing to listen? This inner knowing, you could see it as your higher self. And your higher self isn't trying to make you special. When we take steps that are liberating, sometimes we can feel a little special. It's not trying to do that. It's trying to make us whole. When we tack on the fact that we're special or inspired or enlightened or any of those things, when we evaluate ourselves on any level like that, that's not the higher self. That's not the inner knowing. The inner knowing leads us into wholeness, and that wholeness, honest to goodness, leads us into silence. The gentle coming home to the self. So today's practice is actually going to be a visualization. And visualizations are a contemplative practice. They are, and I use them a lot in my teachings and in my practices. It's only one of many ways to get there. But I thought, since we're positioning this inner knowing as kind of being something, being our higher self, and we're looking at it, I thought it would be nice to do a visualization to renew your relationship with your inner self. And I'm going to be inviting you to focus on the heart center. So, right, the heart, is over here on the left. And if I was doing it for you, who's looking at me, the left. But the heart center, the heart chakra is right in the center here. In the front and the back is where the vortex goes out. And then it radiates, of course, in all directions. This is just symbolic. We could focus on any place in the body. I'm just focusing there because it's common, it's interesting. You'll have a certain amount of familiarity with focusing on the heart region. And we're going to visualize the presence of the inner knowing as the higher self. And then I'm going to guide you into a refreshing of your relationship with this self. All right, I invite you to close your eyes. Offer just a silent gratitude for the opportunity to be here right now. Now bring the awareness to the heart area, the heart chakra area. And feel or sense or imagine that this area is pulsing with a bright light, similar to our heartbeat meditations, but less localized. And there are 2 points, your focus and this area of the heart chakra. And recognizing those 2 points, become aware of the spaciousness around those 2 points. And see how wide you can get, how much you can become aware that these 2 points of focus that are connected because the focus is upon an object that is you, the area of the heart chakra. Notice that in a way, just that focus in that heart chakra, there's a suspension in spaciousness. That all around is vast space. Now, as you're focusing on this heart chakra, imagine or sense that your inner knowing is your higher self. And this higher self is in some form right there in that heart chakra. You could see a little mini you or something that connotes that presence. And if you wish, you could then allow this inner knowing as the higher self to become as large as you are physically, if that helps. You could sit facing each other, but however you wish to position it, establish a clear connection with you and your higher self through visualization. Now I'm going to give an extended time of silence. I want you to communicate with yourself. Renew your relationship. You could ask for guidance and help in surrendering and trusting. You could simply apologize for abandoning your higher self so often. Whatever you wish the content of this, so that it's real, so that I'm not feeding you lines, let it take place right now in this silence. And now, as we bring this practice to a close, if you've not already done so, make a commitment to your higher self, your inner knowing. And this is twofold. Make the larger commitment, some way you're going to choose to trust again or trust more. And secondarily, make a smaller commitment so that you don't place an expectation on yourself that leads you to discouragement. Each day, I'll choose 2 or 3 moments to drop in, to listen to your wisdom, and to follow that wisdom with all my heart. So renew your big commitment and then make a small commitment, something that's taking a step, not a leap. And to allow there to be a walking forward with your inner self, your inner knowing, your higher self. Bring the palms together in front of your heart and let one hand be you and the other hand be your higher self. And let them meet, touching lightly. Then bow before your higher self. And let your word namaste be towards this higher self. Namaste. Opening your eyes to greet the day. Great to be with you.